Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free. Grab our fun bingo card with 21 Feel Lit activities shared on the podcast.
This is a fun way to get motivated to try some new practices in your daily life.
Hello. Welcome back to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. We're so excited to be here today with a very, very good friend of mine, Peggi Cooney, who's here as our special guest. She is the author of This Side of Alcohol, her memoir, and I met in 2019. And we've been friends ever since. And so welcome, Peggi.
Hi,
Thank
Peggi.
you. Hi, Ruby.
So I'm just going to read your bio to introduce you to our listeners, and then we will get into your story. So Peggi Cooney is an author, speaker, and sobriety advocate. She holds an MSW and has 26 years of experience in child welfare and adult protective services. She's currently a social work instructor coach for UC Davis's professional and continuing education. And in 2018, Peggi received an Outstanding Instructor Award. Peggi published her first book, yay, This Side of Alcohol, Random Thoughts and Candid Words of Pain, Hope, Humor, and Love, and All That Is Possible in Sobriety. And she's also the Chief Connection Officer for award-winning Zero Proof Experiences, Sober in the City, where she partners with the founder, Susie Streelman, to provide alcohol-free social experiences all over the world. And Peggi recently received a Dry Society Social Club's 2024 National People's Choice Award. That was in Reno, right? That's so cool. Oh my gosh, all the cool people were there, but I wasn't. I guess I'm not cool. Peggi is currently working on her next book, I did not know that, about work-related stress in the helping and caregiving fields. That is so needed.
Yeah.
And she resides with her husband, Paul, in West Sacramento and Lake Almanor, California. Yay. Wow. So I didn't, California girl. I didn't know you were working on another book. That's amazing.
Yeah. We've been working on it for about a year and a half. So just doing a lot of research right now. So, yeah.
It's amazing. Congratulations on your awards. That's so
that was very surprising. I think I was the oldest person there. It was so interesting. All the up and coming youngins that were definitely, it was a who's who of sobriety. Yeah. I was nominated with Chris Marshall. We all probably know him as owner of and founder of Sands Bar. So
yes, I met him.
He's such a sweetheart. So I didn't even prepare a speech because I was nominated with him. It was in the same category. So I just went, with a couple girlfriends, to support all my other people. So I was kind of shocked when I actually got it. So
that is so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you pom-poms.
Yay. I have pom-poms too.
Yeah.
I have them too.
And it's After Magazine, After Magazine, that nominated you also for like the best social event, right?
Yeah,
for alcohol-free or sober people, which I've been now to 3 of your retreats, this Zero Proof Experiences retreat, Sober in the City weekends, and they are amazing. And we're definitely going to talk about that during our chat. But I did want to just highlight that you and I met in 2019, and we have this little NorCal connection, which is like, I feel like you could be in my family. Like, you know where Maxwell is. Maxwell is where my mother grew up, and there's like 300 people in Maxwell. There's like 3 bars, 1 grocery store, 3 churches, a church for every bar, and like 300 people. It's way up in the Northern California, like out in the boondocks, ranch territory. And you lived up in that area for a while.
In Calusa, which is about, I don't know, 5 miles from Maxwell.
Yeah, it's the bigger town of next to Maxwell.
Right.
And so my family has been having the Louston Pearson, my mom's a Pearson family, has been having family picnics. Now, let's see, the 100th family picnic was when my daughter was not even turned 1 yet. So I guess we're going on 131 years. They've been having a family picnic.
And they're the
Calusa.
big names. They're the big names of Maxwell for sure.
I know you probably know the Louston and the Pearsons. Oh, Lord.
Of course.
I'm sure you know all the stories about my mom's side of the family, which is so crazy. Oh, my gosh. So when we met, we just immediately had this connection. And and so you were already alcohol-free. July 2019 was your date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
barely.
Yes, when we met. And I was mostly alcohol free, but still going back. So, that year in 2019. And then I took the complete leap to complete alcohol freedom in June 1st, 2020. So 2019, I was still hanging on like with one pinky to moderation. And like I would go 30 days and then I'd try to drink, then go another 30 days. So thank God I finally just packed it in, right? Joined.
Yeah.
It's really similar to yours, Peggy. I'm May of 2019. So 2019 was
Oh, wow.
I was right there with you.
I wish I would have quit in May. I actually would have avoided the big deal that took me down. So that would have been smarter.
So that's in your book. And you know what? I recommend your book to all of my clients, and several of them have really resonated with part of your story, which is that your daughter's sort of ultimatum about your drinking, and it must have been kind of hard for you.
Well, yeah, and up to that point, my family had just made excuses for me. I'm a social worker. I see a lot of really sad things, and so when I was in direct practice, now I'm teaching, so I don't have that, but I would hear things like, Mom, just eat when you drink. You need to eat more when you drink, or you have such a hard job, no wonder you want to check out. And so up to that point, up to the point where I had a pretty incredible incident that made it was awful. And so up in family reunion in Lake Tahoe. So the Cooneys are also very known in Calusa County. And the next day my daughter said, Mom, if you don't do something about your drinking, you can't, because it happened in front of her and my grandkids. My daughter has 2 sets of twins, and they were 3 and 7 at the time. And said, if you don't do something, then you won't have the relationship you want with me and Jason and the kids. And that was, my husband had been, really trying to get me to stop for a while. And that wasn't good enough for me. But when she asked me, it was just a non-issue. I just stopped.
Yeah. Wow.
The price was a little too high for me to pay. And so I really thank her for that, because I have 2 boys that are, similar ages. And, Brett's answer was, just don't drink around Lindsay. that was his solution. And I knew that wasn't going to be the answer, but it was kind of funny just how our kids see us, differently.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine the world without you in it as a sober person. I mean, so much, you've contributed so much since you got alcohol free. It just shows how, I don't know, everybody has a special purpose, and you really
I kind of do things, I kind of do things 150%. I drank 150% and I became alcohol free the same way. So
I'm really relating to what you're saying, because one of my biggest reasons to becoming alcohol free, it wasn't that I was already a grandmother, but I was like seeing the future. And when I because I want to become a grandmother one day, that I want to be like a vibrant grandmother that's playing with the kids. And I just couldn't see that if I continued to drinking, because I was just wanting to lay on the couch. And I could see myself not wanting to be a vibrant grandmother. So I really, really relate to what you were saying.
Yeah. And it's really, it is my wall of why. I don't think it would have been a long time before I stopped if it was just my husband asking me to drink. So I was drinking at him for a lot of things. But I still, have that picture of my grandkids staring up as, Brett's, Paul's screaming at me and Brett's going after my husband and Paul, and, my son-in-law had to pull him off my husband, and that's just not our family. And so it was a real shit show. So
Wow.
lots of people don't have that major incident, but my grandkids continue to be the reason. Really, they are my wall of why.
Mm-hmm. They're so
You're
cute.
a role model. If I could say
Yeah,
that.
and they're funny too because they're now like, "Hey, Grandma, did you bring the AF drinks?"
I know, because they can have them. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's such a great example. That is so, you never know who you're going to influence. My son just doesn't drink. He happens to not like how he feels when he drinks, so he's never drank. And then my nephew just decided that he wanted to be like his cousin Luke and and he goes to UC San Diego. Pretty boozy school.
Yeah.
Where all colleges, I think, are now, and he doesn't drink,
Wow.
Isn't that great? He just thought that was as a great example. So I know when we choose not to drink and you choose not to drink is still sending a message. Whether they choose to explore, they still know like a respected person in their life that has chosen not to drink and lives this vibrant life. So they have this example. So that's so awesome. Well, I remember in 2019, I think this was where your book, where your book came from, is you would post every single day in this Facebook group we were in, and I would go there every single day to read your posts because they were always so inspiring. And that is what ended up, these were your journal entries, these were your memoirs and your hard days and the things you struggled with. And you're just such a good writer, and you were just so eloquent, and you really put things to words that I was feeling that maybe I didn't even know to articulate. And like I would go, I don't know if you saw me in there liking everything that you would post. I'm like, another, just going for inspiration. And so tell me about the decision to write this book.
Well, and it really did come out of that when I met you, the weekend I met you, that was when I decided to post. I had journaled from day one, and I'm not even sure why, because I had stacks of journals that I had started before, but I just had this feeling I needed to document what I was doing. So, and I even remember where we met at that retreat that, we wrote a letter to ourselves a year from now. And
yes.
That was so crazy. That was so crazy because, I said I would be 465 days sober, something like that. And that I would be helping other people become alcohol free. So
you lived into your future self.
So yeah, I just started posting at day 96 and I did it for a complete year. I did. And after that, I cut it down to Mondays, which I'm still doing 5.5 years later. And I had just had a lot of response, that's me too. And Liz Inslee, I don't know if you remember her. She must have emailed me 100 times. You need to put this in a book.
Oh, that's so great.
She was a original Sober Sis. So yeah, and I just got, the feedback I got, and I just knew I had to put it in a book. So I did.
You did. I remember when you first did, it was hard for me to read sometimes because I know you and some of it is it's painful. It's like, you know what I mean? And it was hard to read sometimes, just going, because it is hard. Drinking is painful, and getting alcohol free is work. You know what I mean? And then part of the work is facing some of the things in our life that are painful and making changes and in our relationships. And it was really inspiring. And I'm so glad that you did this. And And then so glad that you met Susie and moved into the Zero Proof experiencing vents and became the chief connections officer.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I'm really interested in the book that you're writing about stress and helping professions, because a lot of the women that I work with or I just see in the sober verse are teachers, nurses, social workers, and it's like a hazard, in that profession, the stress, and then turning to alcohol because, it works to relieve the stress and anxiety until it doesn't work. And it actually doesn't work scientifically, like chemically in our bodies, but it numbs us. And then that's, kind of what we're looking for. And so it's great that you're approaching that as well and making a difference in that profession.
Well, I think people in the helping fields don't really understand. I mean, they think we chose these professions, so we have no right to complain about it, right? So, you're a child welfare worker. Of course, you're going to see child abuse, right? Or if you're a doctor, of course, you're going to see people's trauma. And I think they're up until really recently, there has been a real discouragement from talking about lived experience. Like it's been really considered to be unprofessional to share your own personal experience. And you can imagine the cognitive dissonance that I was feeling working with families that were affected by addiction and going home and drinking my own bottle of wine, which was, over a 10-year period. Really got a lot heavier, and because I really didn't drink problematically until I was in my 50s, so which is very common too. And so I can look out. I was presenting in a conference, and I work for a university that is just so incredibly supportive of sharing my lived experience, because it's such a missing part. And I look out on a sea of 900 social workers at a convention, and I'd say 80% of them are overweight, have some sort of eating disorder, and it's because we eat our stress. I happen to drink mine, but it's really a whack-a-mole sort of experience that Ann Dowsett Johnson talks about. If you don't address all these things that happen to you, and including the trauma that you experienced outside your own personal trauma, that if you don't really work on that and address that, it's going to pop out. She calls it the whack-a-mole theory. It's going to pop out somewhere. And so, it's either going to be, smoking, relationship problems, spending problems, gambling problems. Lots of people in the helping fields overeat because they eat their stress. And, we're stuffing a cheeseburger in our mouth because we don't have time to take lunch because we're working through our lunches. And so it's huge. And then when you don't really understand how your unaddressed childhood trauma further influences your ability to process someone else's, we're seeing other people's trauma through our own trauma lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's so important, that happens. And we don't, up until recently too, we haven't really looked at the fact that we experience trauma, someone else's trauma, on a daily basis. We experience the same way as if we experience the trauma ourselves. It's stored in the same part of your brain.
Wow.
So oftentimes our body can't tell the difference between someone else's trauma and your own.
Wow. I know. I just realized, we're taught so many things in school, but not a lot of stuff that we actually need, like how to regulate our nervous system. Somebody had posted, I'm so glad I learned about parallelograms because it comes so handy during parallelogram season versus like how to do your taxes, right? And it's so true. But we also don't ever learn how to communicate in a healthy way. We don't learn how to regulate our nervous system. I mean, I think schools are doing better processing emotions, recognizing our emotions.
No, we're more bent on, learning 300 sight words. But we don't, something that should be part of a school curriculum is Brene Brown's Atlas
emotional
of the Heart.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
I love it.
I practice with my grandkids all the time, right? So, that reflective listening where the kids will be fighting and 8-year-old twins never fight, 12-year-old twins never fight, and say, wow, you are really pissed off at your brother because the youngers are a boy and a girl. And Sawyer goes, no, Grandma, I'm not pissed off. Jackson gets I just need him to get out of my space. So naming their emotions, they will either say, yeah, I'm really mad at him, I hate him, or no, that's not what I'm feeling, this is what I'm feeling. So it's I practice on them all the time. They're always saying, Grandma, are you social working me?
That's so great.
Yeah, my son will be like, are you coaching me?
Can't help it. Once you know, right?
Yeah.
Well, something you put in your newsletter, because I get your weekly newsletter a while back, was about ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. And if you can believe it, I'd never really heard of that. And how those kind of things can contribute to me or anyone becoming dependent on Sauvignon Blanc, which was my drink of choice.
Huge. It's really, really big. In 1995 to 1997, Kaiser Permanente did a study. And so it really didn't become kind of the thing until the next century, actually. And over the 2-year period, they studied 100 males and females, around 10 different adverse childhood experiences what I love about this, especially if you're an addiction coach or if you're working in recovery, what's so important is that just like I didn't think I could complain about experiencing someone else's trauma on a daily basis, I also said, well, I have trauma, but it's not as bad as her trauma. It's not as bad as his trauma, right? And in actuality, again, our brains don't distinguish between sexual abuse and physical abuse. They don't distinguish between you having a parent with a severe mental health diagnosis and being exposed to domestic violence. That they really do register as the same in your brain. So there's physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, living with someone who misused drugs, someone who misused alcohol, exposure to domestic or intimate partner violence, living with someone who's gone to prison, and living with somebody with a serious mental health problem. So all of those contribute to, so ages 0 to 18. So again, and then what's so beautiful is we met Dr. Nzinga Harrison. She wrote the book on addiction. And in her book, she talks about the Philadelphia ACE project, and they added 5 more, which makes total sense. So being bullied by someone you didn't live with, feeling there was no one in your life who helped you, felt like you were treated badly because of your race, ethnicity, or gender, that you were in foster care, or that you grew up in an unsafe neighborhood. So really, technically now there's 15 ACEs. And what's so not cool about ACEs, there's nothing cool about ACEs, but you were talking about having 4 ACEs. I have 6. You have a 700% higher probability of becoming addicted to something.
Right. Wow.
700%. So again, I love the Laura McCowan, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And when you know it's not your fault, because you're predisposed to a lot of this, that once you know the science, like we always talk about that, once we know the science, you can't unknow the science, and it's very helpful. One of the things that Nzinga Harrison comes up with that's even more cool, and I use this a lot in teaching new social workers, is that she came up with PIECES, which is one of my favorite things, and it's positive childhood experiences. So was there somebody in your life that you could talk about your feelings? Did you feel like someone in your family stood by you in hard times? Did you feel a sense of belonging in high school? Did you feel supported by your friend? And did you feel safe and protected by an adult that's living in your home? And so I had, I write about it in my book. I had a Hazel. It's one of my favorite parts of the book, about, my mom's my mom's best friend was like, she just thought I was the most wonderful person on the planet, and she really did make up for a lot of the things that I'd gone through as a kid. And the glorious part about pieces is that you can still have pieces after you turn into an adult, which is this connection piece, right? You can still have somebody that you meet as an adult that will go kind of retro heal some of those traumas that you had as a child. That's why this, connection piece in recovery is so important. You can't do it alone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. Boy, I'm so glad you added the pieces part too.
I'm a person that absolutely has to have a solution for something that yes, that sucks. It really sucks that happened to you. What's one thing we can do together to make up for part of that? It's so important because we only have this one Mary Oliver precious life, right? So it's really important to be able to move on.
Yeah. And I think that's what the beauty of these connection weekends with the ZPE and on Instagram or some other social media, if you follow other alcohol-free or sober profiles that are inspiring and uplifting or having a community, whether it's online, in person, like you said, connection is so necessary in recovery. They say connection is the opposite of addiction, and being vulnerable. And then honestly, everybody I've met in the sober world is just so amazing. And we talked about this at the when we were in Seattle, is like, there's this vibe that is just, I've been to conferences and I've been to girls' weekends and I've been to, church gatherings, etc. There's nothing like this group that comes together, and the only word I could come up with is wholehearted. It's like we've been on a healing journey, and we also have that connection with the people there because they have also, struggled with alcohol and overcome, and there's just no barriers. We're not like walking in and going, what's she wearing, and looking at each other. We're just like, hey.
It is that. And we were so lucky that weekend anyway, because there was this trilogy of people there. There were people that we had ZPE, which was gorgeous, and we had this, hotel that had 9 restaurants. So it was one of those, hey, you want to go get coffee? I want to go get lunch. So there's lots of places for connection. But on top of that, they had service dog convention. So I don't know if you saw the dogs that were there having their picture taken, but it was so incredible because they're all service dogs. And then they had a convention for prosthetics, people that had prosthetics, and they were the most inspiring people I think I've ever met. And they had a disco dance, right?
I saw that.
it was just this incredible energy vibe that I don't think, we've had some, gorgeous venues like Tampa and Bali, but there was just something about Seattle that was so special.
It was, yeah.
And
I remember
that. And also we had the drum circle, and we had, what was the Seahawks were staying there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like there was it was a pretty amazing group there because there was that game. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I got to see my uncle and
I remember. Cousin. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that was really fun. Yeah, it was great.
I have 2 cousins, so that was special.
And we got to see people from our coaching group too, which was really special. So invite, that's what I love. I try to get the word out, invite people, and then I can see people in real life if, if we all attend the.
And we got
there's plenty of places in Scottsdale where you can go meet on the lawn or by the pool, or there's just lots of outdoor spaces there at the Ondas.
Yeah. So I guess the
upcoming event. Yeah. And what is it?
Yeah. Tell us about the upcoming ZPE event.
So it's May 16th through the 18th. So we have Thursday night, we have an add-on with Heather Lowe with Ditch to Drink. And she's going to do a dinner on the lawn and some activities. We like to offer an extra smaller group experience. So it's called Caftans and Quesadillas, or I think that's what it is. And then Friday we have Pam Walsh is going to do a 3-hour mahjong lessons.
Oh, how cool.
And like the latest thing, for people in sobriety, like people that play mahjong they don't drink. You have to, it's too heady to drink and play the game. So she's really excited to bring that. And then we have our solo social. And then we have pajama. We're having a pajama party Friday night with our meet and greet. And Paulina Rodriguez, I don't know if you remember her, but she's going to do sound bath.
Oh,
so it'll be perfect to have the pajama party and then have the sound bath. And then Saturday, of course, we have like a whole day of workshops. Susan, you're doing one with our lovely Kristen Horseman. And
gosh, you guys.
Yeah. And then we have Groovy. Annika is going to be the founder of Groovy, be our keynote speaker Saturday night. So, and then of course we also have yoga from the Sober Yoga Girl. She's flying over from Bali. And so she'll be doing yoga on Friday and Saturday, I think. And then she has a workshop on Sunday. That's another add-on, but it should be really fun. And it's at a very beautiful resort called the Andaz in Scottsdale. So
yes,
so I'm excited about the pajamas. I'm looking for pajamas right now.
Yeah, I would need new pajamas, so I better start.
And I've really been making fun of the caftan thing because they remind me of a flowy muumuu that my mom used to wear. And I'm like just kind of digging in my heels. I haven't really found a caftan that I want to wear.
There's a thing it's going on. It's more in the drinking realm, but it's called it's a Mrs. Roper's bar hop thing.
Oh God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I got invited and I was going to go, be alcohol free, of course, but I bought the wig and the glasses and the big,
that's the best.
And the captain. So
oh my God.
It's just type in Mrs. Roper and you'll see.
Maybe I'll do that because I'd rather be funny than.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's cool.
So awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up because when I saw them, I actually I think Captain should have been a adverse childhood experience.
I think they're cool.
It might be an adverse adult experience.
I've got one and I think they're cool and like hip now.
Okay, they're cool and hip. That's what we're going with that, Peggy. They're cool and hip. I'm going to come out because my husband's going to come to this one because golf resort. I'm going to come out. He'll be like, "What are you wearing?"
I know. He's gonna say, "You can't go, Susan. You're not allowed."
He's going to be like, "Good thing we have 2 beds in here." No. No. Well, so just to wrap things up, one of the things that I just want to go back to is the reason why I wanted to bring up the ACEs and the pieces is for people to identify, like you said, like it's not your fault. Like there's so much blame and shame when it comes down to like, how did I end up like this? Why, how did I end up in my 40s, you in your 50s, all of a sudden drinking way too much? And if you do have some of these ACEs, like you said, you're 700% more likely. But then the pieces, and then going back and looking at that and the fact that you can attain some of these pieces that can start to heal you as an adult. And so it's not your fault. It is your responsibility, and there's hope. Right. And no shame, no blame. We talk about that all the time on the podcast. It's like once I dropped that, oh my gosh, I just need to go back to being normal and realize that I am normal. There's nothing wrong with me that I drink too much. Nothing wrong with me. Then I could go, oh, okay, now I can do something about it. Like now instead of working so hard to moderate or try to be normal, I could just put all that energy into living my best life alcohol free. And that was the ticket, right? So
yeah, and there's always so many reminders, right? This last weekend I went to go down and see my grandson Noah play basketball, and I drove right past a CVS, and the CVS I used to buy my wine at many moons ago, and you have that sort of instant sort of shame reaction. Yeah. And then instantly I'm not that person anymore, right? I wouldn't have. 6 years ago, I would have watched Noah play basketball, and on my mind would be, where can I stop and get wine before I hit the hotel? And I I don't have that anymore, right? And, my grandkids feel safe around me. I don't think my kids have any issues with alcohol, although, again, they're predisposed for it, right? So you never say never. But I know my kids gravitate towards me. My grandkids gravitate towards me when there's social events because they know I'm going to give them 150%,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and they know.
Just showing them a different way and, going into Nugget with the 12-year-olds and pointing out all the pink drinks and why they're pink and who, that big alcohol wants them to be their next addict. So, and so just to really empower them a little bit around, see what they're trying to do to you. You can choose what you want to do when you're always going to have your choice, but you have to make your choice with education.
Yeah.
When you see a drink that says, I think it's Good Daddy or something, now they're targeting the boys. So just that, just casually mentioning it when we go to the store and seeing but part of that too was I was able to show them that there was a non-alc section that Nugget had I've been bugging them for a long time. I don't think I was the one that changed their mind, but certainly they have a full non-alc section now.
That's awesome. Yeah. Most liquor stores, at least even my little one down there, I have the same feeling sometimes because the nail salon's right next door to the liquor store. So sometimes when I turn into the driveway, I get this feeling. But yeah, they even have a pretty robust section now. I mean, it used to be, it was some, dusty one shelf in the back with some spider webs, and now it's actually up front. There was actually some stuff on an end rounder too. The Ritual stuff is there. And I'm like,
they had Ritual, they had Prima Pave, and they actually have tastings there.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the time of our podcast where we ask our guests, what do you do in your life to feel lit, alcohol free?
I feel lit doing my morning routine. My morning routine it just sets my whole day. And I just wrote an article for After Magazine. I think it'll be out in the next magazine. That's really fun too. I can't believe I'm actually getting paid to write.
That's amazing.
Articles for magazines, but I get up in the morning and I journal and I write, and I have a gratitude exchange that I do with a good friend of mine. We've been doing it for over 3 years. And what I love about this it's a Melanie Beattie type gratitude list because we're grateful for the things that don't go well. Because I always thought gratitude lists sucked. I always thought they were so stupid because, of course, I'm grateful for stuff that goes well. But for instance, my partner said, I'm grateful for my broken heart because it taught me I could love so deeply.
Ooh.
So being thankful for the things that don't always happen well. And so that's, and so we've been doing that. And then if I have to teach that day, I get ready. But my morning routines, my husband knows, the only thing that he can contribute to my morning routine is a cup of Kona coffee with a frothed milk topping.
Yeah. You got him. He knows what to do. That's so interesting. And that reminds me of like Laura McCowan's, We Are the Luckiest. I feel so lucky that I had alcohol addiction and was able to overcome it. And everything's changed in my life since then. So that's like the big one, right? What's the gift in the addiction? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the gift in the hardships? It's beautiful, Peggy.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we just had an episode on morning routines and how it is such a pillar in setting you up to live alcohol free, and especially during the early days too, how important it is.
Yeah. Everyone around me knows too. It's like, even if the kids spend the night, they know that I have these things to do, and they kind of figure out what to do themselves Sawyer, she kind of likes to listen in on a meeting. If there's a meeting, she likes listening in if it's okay with the people. So
I love that. Wow. She's soaking it all in. That's amazing.
Yeah. She's going to run the world, that one. The other twins were like, Sawyer, how come you always get so much from Grandma? And she goes, 'cause I asked for it.
I love that girl. Yeah.
If you ask, you shall get.
Yeah, you shall receive. That's so great. Oh my gosh.
She's so funny.
She sounds amazing. We need more girls like that in the world, right?
We do.
Hope she stays that way as she goes through her teenage years.
Oh, she is definitely going to stay that way.
You're going to make sure of it.
No, she's got that personality.
That's great. Take over the world. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today and really sharing such important information with us. And you can find Peggi's book on Amazon. And you have a website too, thissideofalcohol.com, where you can also order her book. And I'm excited for a new book to come out. And we will put links to the Scottsdale Zero Proof Experience event in the show notes. And if you're interested, or you can email me or Ruby, and we'll send you a link if you're interested. And then we could see you in real life, or at least I'll be there. Yeah. So, and you can meet Peggi in real life, and Peggi's a hugger. So a hug from Peggi.
I come with a hugging warning.
Yeah.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much, Peggi.
Ruby. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
See you next time.
Bye. Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol free. Grab our fun bingo card with 21 Feel Lit activities shared on the podcast.
This is a fun way to get motivated to try some new practices in your daily life.